Hello, Happy New Year and welcome to Juicy Gossip and our Menopause Special, The Great Taboo. Welcome to Angie and to our Menopause Rockstar expert, Mairi Taylor. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Oh, we've also got Teddy here now. He wants to come and say hello. He always has to come every single show and say hello. He's a Zoom boy. Hello. So how's everyone feeling after all the festivities?
Yeah, dying to get back to training. Get back in the gym.
Yeah, definitely. It just takes its toll, doesn't it? All this eating and drinking and things. What about yourself, Mairi?
Well, I take a slightly different approach, which often makes people want to stick their fingers in my eyes. So I kind of try and live with this sort of moderation. So I've been training all through Christmas and New Year. I made sure that all my gym sessions were booked in because I wanted to arrive in 2022 feeling good, feeling well, ready to arrive and step into whatever this year is going to gift us. So, and I love this time because I'm not working. I've got more time for me, so I almost look at it like a mini retreat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did the opposite. I lost the weight before Christmas, 14 pounds so far, had a little break, and now I'm back to it again. I'm absolutely, and this is part of because of the menopause. I just feel like, been steadily putting more weight on. And I do think it's hormonal. I'm not just blaming it on eating too many cakes, but I am starting to feel better. It's a stone, but I want to lose another one. So hopefully that's what it'll be this year. So any positive vibes, anything to tell us? What are your plans for the new year?
Oh, plans. I just want to get my fitness back. I've had a difficult year. Looking back to my training videos 2 years ago, in those videos, I kept thinking, I just want to get fitter. I want to get fitter.
Yeah.
And
you already were.
No. Well,
we're never happy, are we? We're never happy. There's always more to be done.
Yeah, always want more, bigger.
Why do we do that to ourselves? Because you do look at photos or you think, gosh, I didn't fit in that dress, or I did fit in that dress. But either way, it's always critical, aren't we, of ourselves? And we were actually all right, most probably at that time. But anyway, this is also.
And I'm looking at a screen of 3 absolutely beautiful, amazing women. So is it? We're still like, because if I think about our ages, this isn't what I thought 54 looked like.
No,
so
52 for me. And what are you?
50.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, absolutely amazing, really. Because you are. As a child, you think, I don't know what it is, but you thought after 40 or 50, people were old.
Yeah.
And they had this particular way of looking, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's just not like that. But anyway, let's crack on. And I just want to talk to you, Ange, about your menopause story. I know we've had a little chat, we've got similar symptoms. Never really did an in-depth chat, but I do know that obviously we've crossed over on certain things. So when did your menopause start and what were your main symptoms?
Just before I do start, I just want to say, this is my experience, and it's certainly not to frighten anybody. This is just to share my story, and, we're just here to help and educate women, find, get the knowledge. I think there's a lot of fear around menopause and a lot of negativity, and it's trying to just change that.
Absolutely there is, and that's why in the intro I did say it's a great taboo, because for some reason none of us seem that comfortable talking about our personal experiences. And it is sort of a thing that people don't talk about, and it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Or celebrating either. It's almost sometimes it's a little bit like, if you're the mum that's child slept, you don't tell anybody else, and I've done talks in organizations where, someone puts their hand up and says, I went through it absolutely fine, and everyone else like, how dare you, you know, if you haven't, you know. And I've had mixed, and we've, you know, and again, we've all taken different approaches, and exactly as Angie said, you know, it's about sharing different approaches, because each of us will resonate with somebody else.
Yeah.
But the more we talk, the less taboo it becomes.
Absolutely.
And the more educated and empowered we then are to make informed decisions.
Which is, sorry to butt in on you, Angie, is also, I'm really pleased Davina, what's she called now, Davina?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad she did that program, you know, there should be more of it.
Conversation, didn't she?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
obviously, just going back to yourself, you just want
Yeah.
to start us off and tell us a little bit about, you know, where it all started and your symptoms.
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, I've just finished one of my bodybuilding shows, come to the end of that. That was about October. And it just hit me, you know, when I hear women kind of saying, well, I think it's a hot flush, or is it a hot flush? That I knew this was a hot flush. This hit me straight in the face. It was like putting me in an oven and shutting the door. You know, I'd be training people on the gym floor, and I just be like, oh, just get these clothes off me. You know, it was it just, the heart flush just came on suddenly. So I knew, well, I knew what it was, and I went to the doctor, and then I've written down my list of what so I went to the doctor, and they prescribed me the LS Duet, that's a combination, and it didn't, I think I was taking it for about 6 weeks. It didn't seem to do anything. The hot flushes were coming on. By this time, I hadn't slept. They were coming on in the night, the hot sweats, and, you know, with very little sleep, and it's just exhausting. I get up early.
Yeah. Is that HRT, Angie? Is that what they prescribed you?
Yeah. So she upped the dose from 1 milligram to 2 milligram.
Yeah.
Then we got the lockdown, and it was kind of the end of March by this time. And for some reason, I went to get my prescription, and they'd stopped manufacturing this particular HRT. It was working. It started to work, the higher dose, but then I couldn't get the prescription. I'd gone to different chemists. Anyway, so she had to prescribe something similar, so I started to take that, and I got really, really depressed. My mood was really started to drop, so much. I mean, I know there was a lockdown, but it was nice weather. We could still go out for walks and things.
Yeah.
But I remember just really forcing myself to go for a run. I'm thinking, but I made trying to get my motivation to go. So, and it did get to a point where I did start to have really bad thoughts that I wanted to harm myself, and so I went back to the doctor again. I just thought this isn't right, and I needed another one. So then, what did he prescribe? So then he took me off that, and they put me on an estradiol gel with G-strength. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, it was a gel and a progesterone.
Yeah.
And then I just kept bleeding on that. It just made me bleed all the way through. So I kept going back. They put me on patches. And then, I mean, obviously I still trained, and I was training, but because I obviously sweat and have a shower, and then these patches were falling off.
Oh God.
They bleed. So I had about 6 different prescriptions, I think, in that first year.
Right.
I did keep asking for a blood test, which they won't give you. They don't offer blood tests.
No, not after a certain age.
no, after 45,
Yeah.
you're younger, yeah, but they won't test you to see if you're actually in menopause or to see what your hormone levels are.
They go off, well, when I talk to them, they go off your periods and when they stopped. If you're over 45, they don't do the blood test. You're quite correct.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what they go off, isn't it?
Yeah, and your symptoms, they seem
Yeah.
to go off what the symptoms are, and they ask you a lot of questions. And so I'd gone 12 months, different HRTs, and I went on this last one, triphasic, I think it was called, and I've been on that about 6 weeks, and bearing in mind I could run 10 miles
Yeah.
in January. By the end of February, I couldn't even get to the top of the stairs.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I felt like someone had just hit me over the head. Like my head, there was a pressure in my head, and it was just being pulled down to the floor. That's all I can describe it as, really. And then this funny sensation in my ears. I'd also noticed I was being really clumsy, banging into things, dropping things, forgetting things. I mean, when they say brain fog, I mean, I remember, you know, them telling me what symptoms were of menopause, and when you think about brain fog, you just think, oh, you're a bit forgetful, but it's really frightening. You know, you really can't remember, and it can be really upsetting and frustrating. You know, I get to.
It's almost like it can be mixed up, like Davina was saying, with dementia.
Yeah.
Feel like you're getting dementia, and I can relate to all this because I've been through the same. But is it the tinnitus that you've had in the ear as well?
Yeah. So then this problem in my ears and my head started, and the doctor, what's it called? There's an ear infection. He prescribed me an antibiotic for an ear infection, but it wasn't that. It didn't go. I went to A&E about 3 or 4 times. I had about 6 different doctors check my ears. They were clean. There was no wax. There was no infection. You know, my balance was a bit off. I'd felt some numbness in my fingers, and what else? Just feeling really, really weird. So I'd had an MRI scan just to check there's nothing sinister in my head, and it was fine. Everything was normal. All the tests they did were normal, and I think they were testing for things like stroke and palsy, is it? And like I did feel a bit numbness in my face. So then they referred me then to ENT, which was a 2-year wait, and I just thought, I can't wait. So I paid privately to see the ENT specialist.
Right.
I had an auditory test, so I've now gone mildly deaf. I'm deaf in this ear. I've got hearing aids now. And he just said my brain was in an overdrive due to the hormonal influxes.
Yeah.
I've since read, I've done a little bit of research on my own. I don't know how true that is, but it does say that the blood flow to the cochlea in your ear, because of the estrogen drop, it stops the blood flow. I don't know if that, I just read a report on that. But yeah, it's been pretty life-changing, I would say. Very
tough.
Very tough. Other things that, like my heart rate speeded up quite a lot because I'm quite fit. I've been, you know, my resting heart rate was about 49-50. I'd be sat down and it was 70, but doctors are saying, well, that's normal. And I'm going, it's not normal for me.
Yeah.
So obviously it's affected my training, which I use a lot. My mental health has declined. You know, then it's affected my nutrition. And you know, it just felt like a bombardment of just everything. All
It's
that
like a
one.
vicious circle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't see it ever ending almost, and you
Mm.
wonder what's coming next.
Mm. And I think the most frustrating thing was where I go to get help.
Yes.
I'd messaged my GP, I'd wrote all these symptoms and stuff saying, please, can you help me? Where can you refer me to? With there was just hardly. I actually moved doctor. I'm now seeing a neurologist now, so he's told me to up my dose on this nortriptyline, which has eased my head, so I'm able to train now a bit more. But I'm certainly not the person I was like before.
No.
So. Yeah.
And did you move doctor because you felt you weren't getting the support?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying it, I'm not sexist whatsoever, but was that a male or a female?
There were different. There were female doctors.
Okay.
I don't think it matters, unfortunately, Joanna. I think there's as many female doctors as uneducated, because it's just not part of their curriculum.
No.
And this is one of the biggest, and I think one of the most powerful things that came out of the Davina show was the fact that so many doctors then jumped on the free training that was being provided to at least start their education, which, considering that over 50% of the population are going to go through menopause, whether naturally, early or medically induced, that's the scandal. It's not about being a woman, it's about there's been no medical support. I mean, I've worked with a naturopathic doctor, and I've had the Dutch test done. So I've had my hormones tested at 52 through the Dutch test, which is the gold standard for testing hormones. And that was really enlightening for me and helped me. We just did a few supplemental changes, and it was like I was back in the room.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
But just touching on that, why do you think there isn't more education for these doctors? And why aren't they getting clued up for these patients? Because there's plenty of us that need the help.
Well, it's 13 million women that need help that are in menopause right now.
So why are they not getting?
I mean, we could have a huge conversation about the patriarchy, or we could have a huge conversation about the fact, like historically, a lot of women were dead by our age.
Gosh.
If we think about it, that again is probably one of the reasons why a lot of people have been fearful of menopause, because it was, you had your children, you had your grandchildren, and then you died kind of thing, and we're not living like that anymore. But I think it's just because it wasn't seen as important. And now we have this huge revolution of women coming through saying, we're not shutting up and putting up anymore. This is no longer acceptable. There are people out there doing the education, doing the training. We were having a conversation off air. I certainly know when I started my education into this field, which probably started about 10 years ago, and then I did some qualifications in it, about 7, there was like 2 books that you could get. Whereas now I've got a library, and I could, signpost you to loads of women on Instagram, not just sharing their stories, but sharing really good, helpful information and knowledge, not only on testing, but on lifestyle. Because I'm really curious, Angie, at any point, did anybody talk to you about lifestyle, about doing your blood work to look at your nutrient levels? Was your liver detoxifying? Was there any gut health issue? Did anyone discuss any of that with you?
I did have blood tests, but again, it's this general range of things. I think there was something a bit lower on my kidneys or something.
Like a well woman sort of test, more, was it?
But, it's just such, you need somebody to be trained specifically for menopause to know whether that woman fits in that bracket.
Yes.
Whether they're just a bit, you know, up that way, or they need a bit more that way. Do you know, rather than just everybody in this general.
Everyone's so different, you know. I mean, myself, I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. With myself, I think I didn't actually realize it was happening, even though it was pretty obvious when I look back. My period stopped. Didn't really think much of it. I just thought it was stress because I had a lot of stress going on at the time. Really severe mood swings. I mean, if I can say psycho bitch, I surprised myself. I'd say something and put my hand over my mouth. I can't believe I just said it. I just had my daughter in tears. Really shocking things I said. Hot flushes, really bad anxiety, which I do get anyway. But it really exasperates it, I find. Weight gain. And I think for us, the same thing, this head thing, I can't explain it. It feels like a heartbeat in my head. I'm currently with under a doctor who has now referred me to get a heart monitor on in the new year, in this month. And I've got to have it on for 4 days. But it's in my head, I don't know what's going on, but they're testing my heart now. I've had the tinnitus, I've had the memory. Oh my goodness, it's scary to the point where at one point, I just couldn't even hold a conversation. You know, someone could ask me for something and just 30 seconds later, I couldn't remember what they'd just said. One, it's very embarrassing, but two, it's so scary because you just think, am I actually losing my marbles here? It did cross my mind that I possibly was going to get dementia because my mother's got dementia. And it is very much associated, especially it came out of the program, didn't it, with Davina, that, you know, it's very, very much that people think it's the same thing. But if that's what dementia is, then we've had obviously a taste of it, Angie, and it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So with myself, I think the biggest thing that happened to me was my relationship broke up. We are back together, but we had some time apart because we both didn't understand what was going on. I certainly didn't understand what was going on with myself, so I couldn't expect him to. So we did have some time out, which was quite upsetting at the time. So I was dealing with all this on my own. I went and got HRT. I didn't go to the doctors for HRT. I went to tell them what the problems are, and they prescribed it straight away. Femiston is what I'm on. Very low dose. It worked and it didn't work. So then same thing. They upped it to, I had 1 milligram, then went up to 2. I still don't feel it's quite right. I'm getting breast tenderness. I'm getting pains in my stomach like I'm going to have a period, but then I don't. And odd hot flushes. So I think somewhere down the line it isn't quite right. So I've got to look at all that this year. But it's
has it changed? Sorry, Joanna, has it changed since you've lost your weight?
I think it may have done, you know.
Because it may just be as well that your dosage is wrong now because you're 14 pounds lighter. You may have changed how your gut biome is working. Your liver may be working differently. So, you know, this is something for, you know, a lot of women or partners of women, because I think it's really important that we educate our partners as well.
Oh my goodness.
That it may just be that the dosage is no longer right for you because you've changed.
Yeah, well, I never thought of that. And, you know, you asked Angie the same, it didn't happen for me either. Nobody asked me about my general health, anything like that. I have to have a blood test twice a year because I'm on HRT and they need to do the blood pressure. But apart from that, they don't ask anything.
Yeah.
Which is quite shocking, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I think stress is the major factor.
I mean, let's not... Everyone, I think, needs to take stock that, you know, we have lived through a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And the impact that that has had. You know, I think all three of us run our own businesses. So entrepreneurially, it's like, did I have a business? I know mine had to shut for quite a while, and I was teaching online. Chronic stress is one of the worst things. You're absolutely right, Angie. And again, this is why I was asking, because, you know, if someone had sat down with you and just allowed you to put it all out, you know, I've got an elderly parent, my relationship's on the rocks, I'm undertraining, overtraining, as you know, Angie, you know, it's that Goldilocks effect, isn't it? Too much training is as bad as too little. What's your nutrition like? Are you going for a poop every day? You know, are you gassy and bloated, like you said? Or what were your periods like? Were they heavy and clotty? Were they light? You know, these, like you've just done there, it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And then through a global pandemic, if you were homeschooling, looking or concerned about elderly parents, maybe you had a relative that was in, you know, a care home, you were trying to do your job, your side hustle and all the things.
It's a lot to deal with, isn't it?
And then we superwoman through thinking, but I can manage all of this. I'm really sorry. No, we can't.
No,
and that's not weakness. That isn't weakness. Strength has been able to go, doors are shut, we're done.
Yeah.
I need to replenish.
And I found something, I'm reading, it's a book called The Body Knows the Score. And honestly, it was just, I thought, you know, I can relate so much to some of that stuff. How
a light bulb moment.
Yeah, the body physically responds. And there was something I didn't know was there's a score called ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences. So if you've experienced some kind of trauma as a child or any kind of neglect, you know, that is there's been studies done. There's a direct link to how your menopause is as well.
Oh wow, that's very interesting.
And Dr. Christiana Northrup, because she was one of the original sort of the grandmother, she also spoke about menopause being that transition, and this links into what Angie was saying, where it's, as she said, it's like you go down to the basement and you see all the boxes and you have a choice. You either unpack the boxes or you carry on carrying them around. And very much for me in the last 18 months, it's been that unpacking and actually realizing that the childhood trauma was coming back and needed to be dealt with, needed to be loved. I needed to be, you know, I needed to support myself through it for my body then to be able to move through to the next phase. And for a lot of women, a lot of my clients, they don't want to do that work. You know, it's in the Pandora's box. The box is well and truly shut. But like you said, Ange, you know, that book's a really beautiful way of, oh, okay, because then you sit and think, don't you?
Yeah, but I think that's kind of, as I was coming out of, you know, I was trying to just think of all which ways I could to try and help my head. But I did a retreat. I went to Portugal in June, and so just doing some of those. I've recently done some breath work and cold water therapy, and it's just trying to get myself to be in a relaxed state instead of
it makes you like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
very much so. I mean, this is something I've got to learn to do. You know, so any sort of tips to anyone listening, and is maybe more self-care then?
Definitely you've got to look at how you're treating yourself, you know. You know, instead of eating all those mince pies or whatever it is, you know, do some breath work.
Yes.
That I put, you know, I've got a diffuser there, put some nice smells on, you know, just some calming music if I'm getting anxious, you know.
And
recognizing it, you know, because
I think it's about boundarying it as well. You know, for me, it's really important, you know, all of these things, but one of the biggest elements of self-care is boundary, and actually saying, I am worth the time, I am worth putting the diffuser on, I'm worth drinking the water. You know, I deserve to do this, because we can get then caught up in the busyness again, and all of a sudden we've gone a whole day, we've not eaten,
Yes,
we've grabbed a mince pie, we've drank a prosecco, all the nice things, you know. Let's not take away any of that, and don't get me wrong, you know, I'm like, where are the mince pies? But I think absolutely, but it's self-care beyond, it's self-care beyond the spa days and the bubble baths. It's, you know, have an Epsom salt bath, because most of us are depleted in magnesium, and these low level, I know it's not for you, Angie, but you know, magnesium, most of us are deficient in that anyway. So I'm a big advocate of taking a good quality magnesium supplement, because most of us need it anyway. It can support sleep, mood. It's used for about 500 different functions in the body, and so, you know, that's something definitely I would recommend to do. And for me, I look at taking my supplements as self-care as well. I don't know if you do, Angie or Joanna, but you know, that's me actually looking after myself.
Well, there's a question actually that came in for you about that, to say, do you think the supplements are effective, and what do you recommend? So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you. I've got a list for myself. I don't know, Angie, if you've got what you take or use, or.
Yeah, I just the vitamin D, the magnesium, vitamin C. I've just started on I thought I said I'd try it. Is it an omega-3 omega-6 ratio? So that causes inflammation if you've got too much omega-6. So it's a pure omega-3. So, you know, in liquid form, not capsule.
Really important. I'm glad you said omega-3. That, again, for me, magnesium, omega-3 almost non-negotiable, because omega-3s, as you say, anti-inflammatory, but really supportive of brain health as well. And what's very interesting, because I've also got the dementia Alzheimer's story, and you know, I am the daughter of the daughter of the daughter. And what's very interesting is when you look at what you can do to offset or slow down the onset of dementia, guess what? It's exactly the same as what you can do to slow down and offset menopausal symptoms as well. But omega-3 for me literally is also a mood enhancer. If I don't take it for a week, I can feel my mood drop and my irritability go. And so, you know, I'm the same as you. Omega-3, vitamin D, vitamin C, as we know, and vitamin D, both really good for our immune health, which obviously, you know, we're in early year and winter, and everything's flying around. We want to boost that. But vitamin C also supports the adrenals, and the adrenals are really important for this. It's called the HPA axis. So the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenals, and that's the sort of signaling that goes on through the body to which hormones to make and how to support ourselves. And one of the big problems is if we approach menopause, and this was my story, if we approach it because we have been in Superwoman and busy, that access starts to get a little bit discombobulated. That's my technical term for it. And, you know, this is when we can start. I mean, my adrenals had flatlined. My cortisol levels were so low. It was like, how are you getting out of bed? And probably the main reason I was because I was buffered with my supplements, my nutrition, and, you know, my essential oils and all the things that I do. So, you know, it's really, really important that we do go downstream, we take a step back, but definitely and I also take a probiotic, because it's all about the gut health's really important, and gut health's really important for our mood as well. So I'm a big advocate of whether or not people are doing a good bowel movement every day. You know, we need to talk about this, that's as important. And I also take a digestive enzyme, because that supports my digestive system and keeps it sort of happy and healthy as well.
Is there I take a high strength, but is it B12 or B?
Yeah, B vitamin's really important for the neurological pathways as well. So, and for some people it might need to be methylated. So again, this is one of the good things about working with a naturopath or someone who is qualified in the Dutch test. And I've got a couple of people that I can give you the links to work with in that way.
Okay.
Yes, you have to pay for it, which, you know, we can look at that and think that is scandalous. Yeah. But what you then get is you get to know everything, what your vitamin D levels are, can you absorb, how's your liver, is your liver working properly? Because if your liver isn't detoxifying properly, then you can be in, you know, that can cause problems, too much estrogen, not enough estrogen. And it basically looks at everything. And as I said, when I had mine done, it literally was, you need, let's give you some glutathione, some mitochondrial help. And I honestly, within 3 days, I was like, am I back? But that was my prescription, you know, so I'm not saying everyone rush out, but that's how important it is to get tested. But, and it's, as I say, a Dutch test is dry urine.
Yeah, and that's because that's where I was at when I came back from the retreat. It was vegan, and there was a lot of holistic kind of ladies on the retreat, and so I got an insight into the more of a natural way. I'd stopped taking any HRT by this time and was just trying to work on this brain. But I think now I'm at the stage where, you know, there's the bioidentical hormones and there's the body identical hormones. You know, what's the difference? I since got referred to the menopause clinic, so they put the Mairi coil in now for the progesterone release, and I'm back on these Everil patches. Big ones don't fall off as much. They're the 100.
You don't think about these things though, you know, because obviously you do this for a living. You're in the gym a lot, aren't you? So you know, it's, you don't think about them falling off and with you getting sweaty and things like that, I suppose.
And I kept putting one on every day, and then I'd ring the doctor for some more prescription. He said, well, you've had enough for 3 months. I said, I know, but I'm putting one on every day. He said, it should be every 3 to 3 days. I'm like, they keep falling off.
Well, I answer to your question, Mairi. I've got like an overall menopause supplement which has got everything in it. I've got the evening primrose, I've got the high strength B, and I take a collagen as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been taking collagen for years, so
yeah,
I'm a big advocate of that. Yeah,
and I do feel on whatever I'm taking, I do feel better. But you know, we're always looking to improve. I know that my memory is a bit better. It's not back to how it was.
I would look it up in your omegas. I would look at that. Support brain health. That's
something I don't take, and I should take it. And I should know that, because obviously my mum's, bless her, she takes it and she's got the dementia, so I should know that. I think my question is, you know, everyone's different, but should this improve? Should we all be, we'll never be as we were because we're getting older, but I mean, do we have to live with this memory loss and brain fog and whatever else, or does it get a bit better?
Well, from my perspective, yes, it does. But I will also say it can feel like it's a full-time job. You know, so I know for myself, if I walk my talk and I do all the things I do, I am, boom, I'm on it, I'm vibrant, I'm all the rest of it. When I overdo it, when I get too busy, because there's 2 things we become less able to cope with as we go through menopause, is stress and carbs, as in sugar. Sugar is my absolute, I mean, if I wanted a hot flush, I literally need to put chocolate in my mouth. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'll choose the chocolate sometimes over the hot flush. But in answer to your question, absolutely, you do not have to live with this, with it at all, but you do need to be prepared as well as using what I always call it the magic pixie dust. I'm not anti anything. This is about women being informed and making the right choices for themselves, as long as you have to do a bit of both. You know, if you need the magic pixie dust, then also look at lifestyle. Like, you know, you were saying, you know, and, you know, fabulous to have lost a stone, you know, becoming up to Christmas, amazing. You're back on it. We've all said, you know, we want to get back and train. We're still looking after our bodies. But we're looking at, you know, we want lean muscle tissue because that helps with mitochondrial, you know, and energy and keeping things going. It helps our joints to stay strong. It helps everything to keep moving.
Say about the weight training, you know,
absolutely, Angie, it's all about the weights.
Been putting that out there, you know, lift weights. I didn't start lifting weights till I was 41, so
snap.
10 years. So you know, it doesn't make you massive and big, and you know, it really does help, and your metabolism as well. So
I think for myself, I've not ever been a massive fitness person, but I'm more aware now since I've had the menopause of what I'm actually eating and drinking, and I'm more aware of my health. And the two things you've mentioned, the carbs, and the other thing is alcohol for me. And, you know, I've gone from drinking a lot of alcohol, going to all these social events with Cheshire Socialites, and now I don't really drink. And it's mainly because it's not making me feel very great since I've been in the menopause. Hot flushes is the main thing for me. If I've had a glass of wine, that's it.
And unfortunately, it's because, you know, there's the sugar, but two, it makes the liver do the job that it doesn't really want to be doing. So that has a knock-on effect.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing though, because obviously, you know, it's improving your health, isn't it? But there's certain no-nos, and I know, you know, I just know now. And you've got to say, is it worth it for maybe how you're going to feel?
Yeah, but I mean, I absolutely. And again, you don't have to be, you know, a fitness fanatic, but exactly as Angie said, when you are making time for training, please do make sure we're lifting weights, using body weight, we're putting those joints through push and pull. It's not all about cardio and running. You know, yes, we want some cardiovascular health, but absolutely lifting weights, some yoga Pilates, some mindfulness, some yoga nidra, legs up against the wall when you need it. And, you know, the rest of the time. And I think, I don't know about you ladies, for me now, exercise was always about punishment. It was about how I wanted to look. Now it's about how I want to feel. And how I want my body to still be strong and mobile for this life, because we're going to be around a long time post menopause.
That's such a good point. You know, you do more about how you feel now than you would how you look. Would you agree, Angie?
Definitely, yeah.
And I think my other question was, obviously because of the situation with my relationship as it was, why aren't we prepared? Why is nobody out there to prepare us for these things coming? Because you never think it's going to happen to you, or you put your head in the sand. And I suppose when I thought I was going through the menopause, I sort of then said, no, I'm not, don't be silly. I'm only 48. But I think what I'm trying to say is, why is that info again not there for people?
What are your thoughts, Angie?
I just think, you know, maybe it needs to be brought into the curriculum at school, you know,
Brilliant idea.
It's like starting your period, you know, this thing happens to your body, you go, oh, what's happening to me? And then, you know, it's spoke about, you know, you hear it being spoke about and what the symptoms are, but till it hits you, you think, right, you know, what do I do about it? And, you know, where do I go? Who do I see? You know, where, you know, so I don't know, maybe there needs to be some kind of clinic. I know there's the menopause clinic where you go and see the doctor, but where we go to be educated as well.
So the menopause
that's what I've been doing. I know it's like, but I mean, I genuinely, I have been doing that for the last like 5-6 years, workshops, road shows, talks, taking opportunities like this, Joanna, you know, to get us together as women and share our different experiences. And I know, again, through the Venus show, you know, they were very much wanting to get menopause into school, but I absolutely agree with you, Angie. We don't need to just be getting menopause into school. Let's talk about the hormonal cycle. Let's understand the phases of the menstrual cycle, so that we know that we've got different energy, to train differently at different times of the month, to eat differently at different times of the month, to understand what could be causing really, really heavy periods, rather than putting young girls as young as 12, 13 on the pill straight away. Let's look at their nutrition, their lifestyle, their stress levels, their toxic load. So I think there's, you know, there's still a huge amount of work to be done, and shows like this and women like us being prepared to share our stories and our experiences are going to make such a big difference. But we need to educate the men, as well as, you know, as well as the boys and the girls.
Massive good. It's such a good point, that, because obviously it does affect both men and women at some point, but for me, like I say, it's where you would go, and in the end I just googled everything, because you're not getting exactly a lot from the doctor.
I mean, I will say now, if you put in the hashtag menopause or perimenopause into Instagram, you will meet a whole raft of revolutionary women sharing knowledge, experience, and education. You know, there's some absolutely amazing women out there sharing knowledge and info, and that's, you know, that is a good, I will use the word, safe place to start.
Is it Mairi Taylor as well? She is it Taylor?
Davina McCall?
No, there's another Davina.
There is. Yeah, I know who you mean, the blonde lady. Can't think of her name, but this is the other massive point, though, is it's got to be the right information, you know, in like anything.
And someone you resonate with. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of info out there that maybe isn't correct as well. So you've got to be very careful of your source.
Yeah.
So can you explain to me, Mairi, then, and to everybody else? I mean, I do know what you do, but you know, if anyone is actually wanting to maybe speak to you, can you just explain to us exactly what it is you do?
Yeah, so one of the main service that I offer from a menopause perspective is what I call the Fab Mot. So it's a lifestyle conversation. So it's 90 minutes whereby in advance you do a nutrition, sleep, mood and energy diary, and then we sit down, we discuss it, we go through it all, we hold the mirror up, I explain all the different phases of perimenopause, menopause and beyond. And for some women that's enough, you know, that is enough to be able to go, oh my gosh, I can see that I've been too busy, or oh my god, you know, I need to just slow the wine habit down a bit, or I'm overtraining or undertraining. And if anybody then needs that next level, then as I say, I work with somebody who then can go on and do the testing for them. But mainly it's that opportunity to be seen and to be heard, and to speak to someone who understands what is going on, where you may be in your cycle, and that you can then be informed to go on and know what's the right next choice to go and make and to go and take. I also offer a group coaching program, which is much more about mindset and looking at, it's almost a bit like Angie was saying about how to release the triggers, how to get out of Superwoman, but how still to show up as, you know, the best version of yourself. And then I do little fun things with cacao ceremonies. I do womb healing, which is a hands-on treatment. Obviously you need to be near to me in Leicestershire, but there are women all around the country again that do, and that's a really beautiful treatment for helping us to reconnect with our very core, particularly if you are somebody who's had a history of maybe heavy periods, C-section, hysterectomy, anything like that. And we just need to come back into our bodies and reconnect with this wisdom, because, you know, Angie said, it's about, this is the phase of life for us to step into our wise, wild woman. You know, that doesn't mean we're old and cranky. It's about taking that wisdom and that knowledge. You know, it's only us and killer whales that go through menopause, and the reason the killer whales go through menopause is so that that female can become the matriarch of the pod. She's no longer in competition with her sons and daughters for, you know, mating rights, but instead she uses her knowledge for where's the best place to fish, you know, where to go for this and that. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could start to see ourselves as that in our communities and in our families? So anyway, that's how I work with women, you know. So somebody like Angie or yourself, you may have come to me, and I'm not saying you wouldn't have still done, you know, gone down the HRT route, because I'm not about, oh my God, you've got to be showered in crystals and oils. No. But maybe a bit earlier on, it might have been, oh, let's look at omega-3, or let's look at that, or you need to dial back on this, or have you thought, oh, you're struggling to sleep, or you've got digestive problems. Let's talk about how we can support you in your personal, you're laughing.
I said all of that.
Yeah, we didn't touch on the no sleep. I mean, I'm not, touch wood, it's not too bad. Getting an odd night of insomnia, but I do get really bad bloating, actually. It's one I forgot to mention. So you still look at yourself and you think, oh, I've lost weight, but oh, I feel all fat around the middle, but it's bloating.
Yeah, and again, that can be stress related. It could be something that you're eating. It could be tiredness. It could be back, you know, there's so many things to look at that. I can teach you how to do a nice tummy massage. You know, there's essential oils that you can use if you don't want to be taking stuff on top of stuff. Okay. So it's so important. But you know, I know there are women out there, and men, but it's finding them, isn't it? It's knowing where to look and who's trustworthy.
Absolutely, yeah. So where can people find you, Mairi?
Well, Menopause Rockstar. So obviously I'm on Instagram as the Menopause Rockstar and on Facebook. So my website is very simply mairitaylor.com. And yeah, I'll be starting my own radio show in the new year. So inspired by your good self. You know, as we get further into the new year, I'm launching on what would be my sister's birthday in February, because for me, it's just really important to have these conversations.
It is.
Same as you. It's like, let's have the conversations, because somewhat we will have made a difference to somebody's life today, because one, they'll know that they're not going crazy, and two, they'll put their hand up and ask for help.
Yeah, I really hope we have helped, if it's just one person. And you know, just be more open about things and how you feel. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You know, and I think the more we all talk, the better we all feel, because you do feel like you're going mad. Sometimes I just think, you know, is it me? Is it just like my age or something? But you know, I really miss being really sharp, and like I was so switched on, and it's like I actually feel about 20 years older some days than what I am. I don't know if you resonate with that, Ange, but
yeah.
And I think, crikey, this can't get any worse.
But again, what I would invite you to do is, if you can, is start keeping some kind of diary or journal, or if you've got any kind of practice, and just notice when are those moments, because you might see that they're always in the same week of the month.
That's interesting, actually. So obvious, but I never thought about that.
Because, you know, even if you're no longer bleeding energetically, we can still be cycling. So I can tell when I'm in that phase when I would be having a period. I'm in that phase. You know, I started my periods when I was 11 and I finished when I was 52. I was bleeding, you know, I had a cycle for 41 years. That energetic doesn't just disappear when you stop.
No.
We become much more, this is where everyone's going to go, who's this? We become much more connected with moon energy, with, you know, a lot more natural energy. We've just had a full moon on last Sunday. one of the things, again, I recommend for women to do who are a bit like, I don't know where I am, is just start tracking your energy, your bloating, your sharpness, your clarity. Because even before menopause, at different times of the month, we would be sharper than we weren't. But because we had a bit more youth on our side, we didn't notice this as much. The extremes are more extreme now, but we can get back to a place of, I'm back in the room. I'm going
to do that journal, you know. That's just a crazy, such an obvious thing. But I know that there's still a cycle with myself, because my boobs go bigger and they're tender. So, and apparently my other half says I'm stroppy for a few days. And he goes, oh, it's just like you're going to have a period.
And so, again, the omega-3s might help with that from an anti-inflammatory perspective, and just getting things a little bit more back in balance.
Okay. So where are you at now, Angie? Are you in a happier place, or are you still sort of going through to improve with doctors and medical?
I'm still searching. I'm still trying to work through what is it that I need to do to make me feel better. You know, like I say, I want to get back training like I used to, and feel that energy. And
it must be quite hard for you, because obviously you've been very active and you've done all the, you know, the health thing, and you've been bodybuilding in the past, and you know, it must be very frustrating for you.
And well, that was another, I started to get injured, like I think, oh, what's that? I picked something up the other day and all of a sudden I dropped it, and oh, what's that? You know, you just get these pains, and then all of a sudden it's gone. It's like, where did that go? But yeah, so there's joint, and I've had a few issues like with straining muscles and things like that. So
just one question I've got to ask you, did you ask the doctor with regards to your deafness if they think that is related to the menopause, or would that have happened anyway, or don't they know?
He seemed to think, I don't know, I've not really got a straight answer on that actually. He said, his words were, did you know that you were deaf? I said, no, I didn't. Right. I didn't know that. I didn't realise really that.
No. Well, it's just interesting because it's not coincidence, because we've both had that head feeling, and we've both got this
tinnitus is very common, very common.
Well, I started it when I had the menopause, and I know you did, Ange. So it's not a coincidence. So that's why I asked the question, do they think the deafness is related to the menopause?
Yeah, he did say hormonal influxes. So, but in this ear I have like a, and then this one's high pitched noise, and that's constantly. He's told me to get a sleep app, so I listen to some rainforest going, or you know, something to just try and white noise, just to try and take your mind off it.
My partner's suffered really badly with tinnitus, and he's actually found having a lymph massage has really helped it to help drain the system.
Right.
And he's literally, it's cleared it since he's had a lymph treatment.
Right.
So that's something else to consider. I'm not saying
from you then,
not anti-doctor or you know anything, but that's what he did, and it did work for him. And it's so debilitating, isn't it? Yeah. He would literally wake up in the night and be like, and I'd be like, don't know what to do. It's awful when you go to bed.
The silence. I think when you actually list, when we've gone through all the things that you can get, it's a lot to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just anything on top, like the deafness. You know, and it does affect you. I mean, I remember, oh gosh, going back maybe just before I knew I was going into menopause, I did an event in Cheshire, and there was one thing, I'd forgotten a table, and it's not like me. I'm so on the ball, and I'd forgot. This lady turned up. I was mortified, and she didn't have a table and all the guests. Anyway, that got sorted. I got them seated, and I went to pieces. Inside, I was just an absolute wreck. I started sweating, and I said to Paul, I said, you know, I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm just too stressed. I'm just getting too stressed all the time, and maybe I need a career change. And you know, this was the start of it.
But that's one of the biggest problems. So many women leave their jobs because they just don't think they're competent anymore.
And
when
it's
all
not
they need
to
is
do with that, is it?
Yeah, they just need some changes.
Yeah.
They need to be heard. They need to be supported.
Yeah. And that's all it was. But at the time I didn't realize. I just thought you know, maybe it just wasn't for me anymore, because it's a lot to organize in events. And I remember that actually happened a few times where maybe just a certain little thing was wrong. Nobody else noticed. It could have been something like the layout of the room or a table, and I'd just go to pieces. It was just like absolutely crazy. It was over nothing really. But as I say, you know, you've just got to, if you think or you suspect that you're going through this, don't suffer alone. Go to the doctors. You are not wasting anyone's time. You know, seek the help of people like Mairi. You know, they know what they're talking about, and I know, you know, and it's just a case of reaching out, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than suffering in silence, and it can be quite scary depending on what your, you know, symptoms are. I know after listening to Angie, you know, you must have thought possibly, what the heck's going on with myself here? You know, am I going mad? And
but it's like going, like you said, going to social events, and
yeah,
you know, like this is my good ear, and but when there's background noise, and
yes,
you just, you know, you lose your confidence, don't
and
you?
everything's affected by the way you feel, by the way you look. I would go as far as to say possibly you may be saying you'll go to an event or go out for dinner, and then you can't do it. You just have to change your mind. I don't know if you've done that, Ange, but you know, there's certain things and you have to cancel stuff because you don't feel you've got much confidence. So this is affecting women, and it's affecting lives, and you know, things have got to change, you know. And if it starts with our little program here of helping people, but I'm quite passionate about it myself, but we all just need to get talking. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I'm more than happy to hold a conversation. I've done quite a few girls' nights in where we sit around and talk about the menopause.
Well, we're definitely looking, we'll be doing something with events, maybe 1-to-1, you know, when we can, this year. So, you know, let's get something in the diary, and let's get out there and start helping women. Really quite passionate about it. I did have very quickly a little thing here about the Hrt debate, but I think we've really touched on that, you know, I particularly was quite scared from all the things I was hearing before I went on HRT. I was sort of a bit scared if to take it or not, but my decision was based on I wanted something to happen quickly because I felt so terrible. But you are scared at the doctors. They give you the leaflet and they tell you that you could get breast cancer and this and that, and obviously it's very personal choice. But again, I think you shouldn't be made to feel bad about if you want to take HRT. I don't know how you feel, Ange. Did you feel bad about taking it, knowing that you're more into the health thing, or?
I was still in this dilemma because obviously I've been came off it, and then the menopause clinic at St Mary's put the coil and the patch, which the hot sweats have gone and I can sleep at night. But then just progesterone, that speeds your heart rate up. So I've since been told that, so that might be a factor in speeding my heart rate up. So I'm still thinking to get rid of all that and go down the herbal route, or the.
I'd have thought the lower levels would have speeded your heart up more than higher levels. I know quite a few girls who are chronically stressed who will get heart palpitations because the body then stops making the little bit that it needs.
The anxiety issue. But I mean, did you feel, Angie, did you feel guilty, or did you feel like you had to sort of justify why you wanted to take HRT. I did, to be honest. I don't have to justify it to anyone, but I did feel at the time, I thought, oh God, and then people were sending me private messages. Hey, you know, you shouldn't be on that. You might get breast cancer. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. You know, you're not going through what I'm going through. And for the moment, it suits me. It might not suit me down the line.
I think I just wanted something to take the symptoms.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we have to respect that. You know, when you're feeling as awful as you are, we just want a quick solution.
Yeah, we do.
Understandably. And then you've got the capacity to look at lifestyle, but you can't, there's no point anyone talking to you about green juices and crystals and la 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 when you're like, I can't sleep, I don't even feel like myself, my ears are ringing, this hurts.
Yeah. Well, one of my clients did, because I'd come off it, and she bought me the Menopause.
Yeah.
And she swore by it, but it didn't touch the sides with me. So.
And everyone's different. This is the biggest thing. What you can say for one person might not be right for somebody else. You can only try it for yourself, can't you? You've just got to be proactive on these things. But I do know there's a wealth of information with Mairi, so please do get in touch. We'll put the links up. And if you want to talk to Angie or myself, I know I'm definitely open to anyone. If you want to talk to me about anything, Angie, are you happy for anyone to talk to you as well? Yeah. And really, I just want to. Sorry.
Any fitness tips?
Yeah.
Weight training.
Yeah.
Up there as well.
Absolutely, because it's all important. It's all about the overall health and well-being and the fitness. It's really quite, particularly now more than ever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, Mairi, before we go?
No, I just think if anyone's listening, I would recommend that you share it with your partner. They don't just keep this to yourself, you know, because everybody needs to know and to be involved. And I think, as you said, it's really important to not be brushed off either. You know, you can get, if you're told, oh, you're too young, or this is normal, and you don't feel, exactly as Angie said earlier, if you don't feel normal, it's not normal. It doesn't matter what test results. So push through, ask for another opinion. Don't get fobbed off and go home feeling like you're the one that's at fault, because you're not. And
this happens a lot. It does happen a lot, but I think you have to go off your gut feeling, and you know yourself when there's something not right. We're just an engine, aren't we? And if it's not finely tuned and it's not running right, we just know, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, but I do thank you both for talking, particularly Ange for coming and talking about your personal experiences. It's, you know, it is quite something to share to everybody. And to Mairi for your expert, you know, advice. It's so welcoming to listen. And I know I've learned a few things, and I'm going to start that journal, because it's a really dead obvious, but it's a really good way of you know, realizing your cycle and maybe how you're going to feel in that month.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll put the links up. And for now, ladies, thank you so much. The next show we've got Love in the Air. It's the 9th of February. So and we do have Lara. We've got the matchmaker back. So we've got our expert back, and hopefully we should be in our recording studio by then too. So it's all exciting. Yeah. So thank you once again, ladies. Thanks. And hopefully I'll have you back on the show later in the year.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.